Hey, this is Mike Addis. Thanks for joining us. It's always our pleasure to bring you these videos. This is about real estate and how to purchase a property and get paid cash the day you close on the purchase of that property. Now you got to stay with me to the end of this video because the conclusion is obviously at the end of the video. So let's begin. So many years ago, I decided that I wanted to buy real estate, but I wanted to get paid when I purchased the property. Of course, this is contrary to all the other things that you learn when you buy these how-to real estate books. And one of my favorite real estate books I paid like $299 years ago. It'd be worth like $1,200, $1,400 today. It was done by a guy named Carlton Sheets. I think he may have passed away or he's no longer around. And I went through all these videos and watched all the discs and everything. And guess what? I didn't learn anything from Mr. Sheets. I just learned general basic information. So I had to go to the street and talk to bankers, mortgage bankers, real sharp guys, and tell them, look, I wanted to buy real estate, but I want to get paid when I buy it at the close of the purchase. Of course, they couldn't help me either, so I calculated and figured this all out on my own. The easiest way to put this in a way that people can understand, it's called a simultaneous close. I hope they put that on the caption when they edit this video. A simultaneous close means when I buy something, I want to get paid immediately, which means I'm going to sell it to an investor. It could be in real estate, it could be in computers. For example, I focus pretty much on computers right now. I also am building real estate all over the place, but that's just another discussion. I want to get into that right now. And as soon as I buy something, I already have it sold. Okay, so that's the key to real estate if you're going to turn the real estate into cash, which was my goal then and still is now. In order to do that, you have to buy the real estate at about 25 to 30% below appraised market value. There's a difference between market value, where the real estate agent will tell you what the property's worth X. Real estate agents' assessment of what things are worth have zero value. They're not worth anything. What really counts is what the bank will loan on. That's the true value of real estate. And the only way to know what something is really worth is you must talk to a bona fide, qualified, dyed-in-the-wool, top-notch appraiser. So I would sit with appraisers, not real estate agents. I found 100% of my properties. I never had one real estate agent out of the hundreds of properties I bought that ever brought me a deal. All my properties were bought by evaluating certain markets and having real estate appraisers sit with me while I paid them for their time to tell me what something was worth. Okay, so now let's take one example of a property in Las Vegas that I bought. The property was worth about $350,000 based on the appraised value, and I was going to buy it for about 30% below that value. Let's just say, for sake of discussion, a $300,000 property is actually higher than that. And I'm going to buy it for 30% off, or $90,000 below that value. Why is someone going to sell me something that low? Like I've written in my blog post, if you go to mattiscash.com, you read why people do things the way they do. I don't try to figure everything out, but in this particular situation, the lady was going through a very bad divorce, and her mother was a real estate agent, and her mother wanted to liquidate that house, and she wanted to sell it immediately, and she didn't want to wait around anymore because the market was a little soft for sales at that particular time. She had already given a 20% discount. I just wanted to get the extra 10% so I could make it 30%. Well, why is that? Because you must have enough profit in the real estate to do that. Now, you can't do this on the West Coast. I live in the West Coast. The average house here is $1 million on my street. There's no 25 to 30% discount on the West Coast. I don't have any idea what's going on the East Coast, but I'm going to assume that there are other parts of the country where you can get a 25 to 30% discount. It's out there. You just have to go hunting around and look for it. Everything's available if you're willing to spend the time. And I am not particularly interested in moving around to different parts of the country to do these kinds of deals. I was living in Las Vegas. I was doing deals in Las Vegas. When I lived in Austin, Texas, I did the deals in Austin, Texas, which is a beautiful place to do these types of transactions. So we negotiate back and forth. I know I'm going to get an appraisal at $350. I'm using the example of $300,000, and I buy the property, but before I buy it, I have lined up a series of investors that wanted to buy the property from me at the market value, but they didn't have the cash to buy it. I had the cash to give them to purchase the property. I was going to say product, purchase the property from me. So let's say it's valued at $400,000. Say it's, in this particular example, I said $350. Let's use $300,000. I'm going to buy it for $200,000. 90%, 30% of $300,000 is 90 grand, so 90,000 below. Let's say 100,000 below. I'm buying it for $2. I'm selling it for $3. Simultaneously. So when I go to the title office, the title officer knows I'm buying it and reselling it at the same time, within minutes. The investor doesn't have the cash, so I give him the down money. Let's say it's 10% on 300 grand is 30 grand. He's going to buy it at 300. I'm going to give him that cash. I'm going to give him the cash, and then he's going to end up with the property. We have $100,000 in profit to split between the investor and me. We have to break down how that 100 grand is going to go. Now, back in the day, I felt that the guy that was on the loan was going to take 15%. So on $100,000 profit, I'm going to take 15% or 15 grand, and he's going to take 85% or $85,000. He's going to get that cash back from me, because when the deal closes, I just made $100,000 profit. I'm going to give him 85 back, so he ended up putting 0 down into the property. I ended up with 15 grand for finding the property, but he's ended up with the debt, and he ended up moving into the house. He loved it so much that he ended up with $85,000 in cash plus the house. Now, in hindsight, I wouldn't have given him that much money. I'm just telling you what happened on this particular transaction. And subsequently later, I did many of these types of transactions, and I would keep 25%. In some cases, I kept 50% of the profit. So out of $100,000 profit on buying the property and then reselling it simultaneously, I would keep about $50,000. Using the same example, of course. Did you get that? Now, what is the current situation for doing these things? Well, there are always changes, because banks always try to figure out ways to stop you from doing what it is that you want to do. They want to keep things all in their favor. So now I can no longer use an appraiser. I have to use someone else's appraiser, which is usually controlled by the bank. The reason why the banks got into so much trouble, besides the fact they were greedy in 2008, you know about the financial collapse, excuse me, is they were using other people's appraisers. They weren't using their own. Excuse me. Salute. So now you have to use other people's appraisers, but an appraiser is an appraiser. You're not going to find that much difference between your own appraiser and someone else's appraiser. And there could be a possibility that that appraiser, you should find that appraiser that has many of the banks, because these appraisers are on the bankers' lists. That's called making cash the day you buy it, which means you have to find the right title officer, which also provides the insurance, and they make money quick and easy on 2 transactions. The purchase from me, they make money for that, and the sale to the investor. How do you find the investor? That's another video. We'll talk about that on the other video. It's 9 minutes into this one. We're going to talk about how you find investors. It's a very important topic for real estate, so our next video should be, how the hell do you find investors to invest in properties that you buy and you want to resell simultaneously? Mike Addis, thanks for joining us on this video. It's always a pleasure to bring you a video. Don't forget to hit the subscriber button. We're trying to get more people to subscribe. That way we can send you the videos right away. Don't forget to check out our blog at addiscash.com. That's MADDIScash.com. Thanks for joining us. See you on the next video.